Good evening, Cheese Room, and welcome to the first in a three-part series discussing the whole entire squad and talking about who we're going to keep, who we're going to sell, who we're going to loan, and we'll probably talk a little bit about who we're going to buy. Tonight, the first of the series, we're talking about our defence, our turgid defence at that, and I'm delighted to say, joined from the other side of the world, very hot topical part of the world at the moment for all things Spurs. Davo, all the way from Oz, how you doing?
Yeah, really well, thanks. 6 o'clock in the morning, woken up to read about the Ashes. It's all in the balance going into day 5, so it's been very exciting watching that, and looking forward to a bit of banter at work about it. But
When
really
sunrise?
Sorry?
When sunrise? It's pitch black out there.
What tends to happen during the show at 9 o'clock UK time, I provide to all cheeseheads the sun rising every time. It's part of the deal.
Love it. Love it. Worth it just for that. And joining me and Davo, my regular sidekick, brother from another mother, Gibbo. Gibbo, how you doing?
Yeah, happy to be here. It's been my last show for a little bit because I've got some stuff on, but happy to rip through this Tottenham defence and goalkeeping situation to see if anybody's going to survive. So let's get into it, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. As always, for those that are listening, please do like and subscribe. Really important to the channel. If you've got anything want to say, any opinions on the players that we're going to be discussing tonight, then please feel free to drop it in the chat. Let us know your thoughts, and I'm sure we'll happily debate those as we go through. So let's get it started then. So we're dealing with the back. We're going to start with our goalkeepers. So we have got currently 4 goalkeepers on our books. Hugo Lloris, Fraser Forster, Brandon Austin, and Alfie Whiteman. So, Davo, let's start with you. Let's start with the current number 1, Hugo. Been quite vocal recently in saying that he wants to leave. For you, does he leave this summer?
He leaves this summer. Flat Cap Jack in Brooklyn will be very happy when this happens. I think it's all a bit of a shame that the way this has turned out and the ending of his Spurs career. It's not the way that we would have wanted it to be, given he's with us for 10 years. I know I didn't think last summer that we had the pressing need to replace him last summer, but as it's turned out this season, the season's just gone. He's cost us a fair few points, so it's au revoir, Hugo.
Yeah, it has been though, hasn't it, Gibbo? He's been a real legend for us, hasn't he, Hugo? He'll go down as one of our greats, surely, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably saved us more than he's cost us over the years, but you know the errors leading to goals and that have become more frequent, haven't they? Like Dave said, you know, it is a shame. It's not the way we wanted it to end up. But obviously last season was a real mess in the end. And I think a lot of Spurs careers are going to be ended not really how we wanted to, even if they're not players we really rate. You know, I think it's just going to be get them out the door and move on. Last season, just basically... mate, you know, it's brought us to that point, hasn't it? It was terrible. But, you know, great servant to the club. But when your time's up, there's no room for sentiment in football on your bike.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing?
That's how it's got to be.
How's it going to go, Davo? Do we get a fee for him? Do we rip up the contracts? Where do you see that going? Saudi Arabia?
Well, you know, if he's going to Saudi Arabia, they're splashing the cash around left, right and centre. So I'm sure that Daniel... couldn't be resisting getting some dosh out of those guys. So, or he does sometimes become sentimental. Like if you remember, he awarded Sissoko an 8-year contract when he was 31 or something like that. So he might just say au revoir and many thanks. But I'm looking forward to us having an outfield captain as well.
Dave, do you? I don't think he necessarily will be. The big books will attract Lloris. So I think he'll probably be happy to go back over to, if he can get a decent move over to France. Is it Nice, the team he originally started with? Someone like that?
Yeah, I think he's from there, but I'm not sure how stacked they are for goalies.
And that'd be a good move for him. Just go back, you know, back home and finish his career there in a team that do all right in that league. And that, you know, I don't think he'll go to Saudi just for the money, just to sort of like see out his career. You don't need it. He doesn't strike me as that type of bloke, but
Toby did, though.
Toby did, yeah. But I'm not sure if Hugo will. But we'll see. But he's gone. He's
I think
gone, mate.
both agreed Hugo's gone. So
Hugo is gone.
The obvious question then goes, this season we've seen a lot of Forster because of injuries and whatnot to Hugo this season. Is he going to be next season number one for you, Gibbo?
No, thank you. Good reserve keeper, but he goes down in instalments, doesn't he? When shots go low and hard, that's not. I think we need someone a little bit more sprightly. I mean, he's coming and been decent with the ball at his feet. To be fair, more better than Hugo, but yeah, good number two and more reliable than the number twos we've had recently. When the guy who's number one is can't play, so keep him as a number two. Plenty of experience. Was happy to come in that role under Hugo. So, keep him as a number two.
Interesting. Davo?
Bloody hell, Gibbo. I was going to use the instalments line, you bastard.
Sorry.
Funnily enough, as it turns out, last August transfer window, when we got 6 in or whatever, he turned out to be the best signing. So I think he's a very adept and he's a very capable number two. Not forgetting we've got no Europe this season, so I would keep him, but he's the number two. Yeah.
Yeah. So then we've got our third and fourth choice keeper. Let's talk about Brandon Austin next. What do we make of Brandon Austin? He's young. I'm not sure in his age. I'm sure someone in the chat will tell us his age.
35 now, and he's been around that long.
It feels like he's been around for a long time. I'm just Googling it now as we talk. But does he stay? Do you think he's one of those that needs to probably move on now? Is it done? He's 24 years old, by the way.
Dave, the guy, we've got an Irish goalkeeper who I think started for the Irish Republic of Ireland under 21s today. So, Austin and Whiteman have been around for quite a while, fulfilling them roles. And I've never really seen anything in them. I think one of them played at MK Dons the other year, I can remember. And I wasn't really, I looked at him and I thought, he doesn't look like, Josh Keeley. Cheers, John, in the comments. He played for the Irish under-21 today. So those guys have been around. So if I were them, go out and go, even if it's lower league, and get some first-team football. You don't want to spend, you might do, spend your career as Tottenham's third and fourth choice goalkeepers.
Yeah. Brandon Austin, 24 years old. He went out on loan in 2019. He's not played a game since, not even looking like it in the Premier League
Pointless. Get rid. Cheerio. In the bin. What do you reckon, Dave?
I think Austin and Whiteman, they should be like a firm of conveyancing solicitors. Austin and Whiteman. That's what I think they should do. Look, I mean, it feels like the two of them are a little bit in the Cameron Carter Vickers zone of they've been there a long time and what exactly they're doing. So if Josh Keeley has played for the Irish under-21s, maybe look to move him to make him the third choice keeper. I see that Norman Stanley Fletcher's talking about Barry Daines as a good number two. The problem with Barry Daines is when he became the number one, and that was the first season I started going to Tottenham. So let's get Josh Keeley into the third goalie spot, loan out Austin or Whiteman, and get rid of the other one.
Yeah, Whiteman has been on loan for the last 2 years at Djed, Swedish side, if you remember correctly. So, and he's done quite well out there. He's been quite highly thought of in that highly competitive league, I'm sure. So, it definitely feels like 24 years old for him and for Austin. They need to make a decision, don't they?
Pointless.
What's more important to them. Yeah.
Pointless. Keeley's quite highly regarded as well, so may as well give him a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that basis, then we've lost Hugo, we've lost Brandon, we've lost Alfie. We've got Fraser as number two, and we've got Keeley as the third keeper. So what do we need to bring in?
Well, Raya. Raya will come in, won't he?
I'd say a number one goalie, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think Raya's that man?
Yeah, I think it will be Raya. I think a few moves will happen after the international break. Some players will want to get them done reasonably quick, then they can get off on holiday, and then when they come back, obviously be at their new club. And I think Ray is probably one of them that could happen then. I know some people say now we've got Brentford, they might try and drag it out, but I think Brentford, once they've decided to sell, if you agree a fee, they'll get it done. I don't think they'll mess about like that. And I think it looks increasingly like it will be Raya. So reasonably happy with that. The proof will be in the pudding when we watch him. But he looks decent. Statistically, the best keeper in the Premier League last year. So can't be all that bad.
I mean, the only other thing is what happens with, well, there's a couple of things in play here, though. What's Chelsea going to do about their goalkeeper situation?
Yeah, good point.
They reckon he's prepared to play Kepa, Dave.
Is he?
Well, that's what they've said. That's what they've said.
And what's going to happen with De Gea at United? So there's talk about bids for Pickford. I don't want us getting Pickford, by the way. He's too erratic. Raya, look, I mean, he's 28. So he's probably at the peak of his career. Well, as goalies they can do about another 7 years. Sorry. Good stats last year. So we need someone who, when they get the ball to the feet, doesn't shit themselves. So that's what we need, and he can definitely do that.
You can ping a ball, Dave.
Let's get him in. Let's Levy do the deal early, put the money on the table, move on to the next one.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've got to say, I was really impressed when we played Brentford towards the end of the season.
Yes.
And I was at the stadium, and he was really good, very commanding of the area, good with his feet. So he's definitely feels like the one that can take over for Hugo.
Yeah. But Craig, over the years, mate, how many keepers have had worldies at the lane? And, we've had we've had loads of keepers. I can remember watching like Alan Kelly and people like that. For Sheffield United, having absolute blinders against Spurs. So he's in a very big club. But I agree with you, mate. Our centre back, our wing backs or full backs, whatever they are, won't have to control the ball neck high when it comes to them, will it? From a goalkeeper. They won't have to use their Adam's apple to get the ball down to feet.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll be played into their path or into their, so they can control it. So that'll be nice.
Yeah. So our prediction then of the panel is Rayo in number 1, Fraser Forster number 2, and the young kid, forgive me, Keeley as number 3.
Yeah, why not?
Sounds good.
Yeah. And just as a sidetrack, I'm sure people will be interested to know, Davo, where does Hugo Lloris for you rate in all the keepers in recent times at Tottenham? Where would you put him? I'll say recent. He's been with us for 10 years, hasn't he? But
I'll give us the second mention of Barry Daines tonight, because he was the first goalkeeper I saw. So I went when we got relegated. So I went in the old Division 2. So we sold Pat Jennings that summer to the Goons, which the General said was his not Franco, but Birkinshaw said was the biggest mistake he's ever made in his life. So I've go from Daines to Lloris. So I would say Ray Clements, rest in peace, was the best keeper that I saw at Tottenham, and I think he helped make Paul Miller and Graham Roberts' career as to what they were. The way he organised that defence and was a great and was a winner and a great organiser. I do have a big soft spot for Eric the Viking. I loved him.
Yes.
I mean, I saw him make his make his debut when he chucked the ball in the net, Forest at home. And the Sun said on the back page the next day, Tottenham signed a worse goalkeeper than Bobby Mims. But he recovered from that, and he was awful with his feet, because I just introduced you couldn't do back passes anymore, and that kind of found him out towards the end. But I loved him; he was a great character. So you got him, Paul Robertson. I think he had 2 good seasons, and after that, his form fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
So I'd say Hugo. I'm not sure I'm missing out some great like Casey Keller or someone like that. I'd say Hugo. Yeah, Epsom Bardson. And I'll tell you something, I always never liked Ian Walker at all. No.
He used to laugh when we let goals in, didn't he? We wouldn't go in at his near post, or he'd have a mare.
I've got a signed Ian Walker montage if you want it, mate.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because the family that I've been going to Tottenham for years, they did a bit of hospitality pre the thing called the Tunnel Club, by the way. And Walker was the guest after, and they got a framed picture of Ian Walker and gave it to me as a Christmas present, which is very nice of them. So I don't want your Walker montage. Thanks very much. Okay. So for me, I reckon Hugo goes in second after Clem, just shading Eric the Viking, and then everyone else just makes it up.
Yeah. Hugo for me. Clements was number 1 when I started supporting. Eric the Viking was the first one when I started going live, but Hugo's been a great servant, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
Top
I mean,
class. Top class. Yeah.
His longevity, wasn't it? I always had a thing
Yeah.
for Neil Sullivan. What's your take on Neil Sullivan, guys? Always
Rubbish.
had a soft spot for
No,
him. I
he was
liked him.
average, mate. He was basically.
It was a poor side at the time. Remember, we weren't the best at the time. Let's be fair.
He summed up the side he was playing in. Bang average.
Well, hang on a second. These are the glory days where George Graham and Alan Sugar tried to recreate the crazy gang at Tottenham. So you had Neil Sullivan, Ben Thatcher, Chris Perry, and that visionary Oyvind Leonhardsson, remember? So with Sullivan, he had a very good first season. If you remember the semi-final up at Old Trafford against the Goons, they had chance upon chance. He had a great season. He was voted player of the season. And then the next season, around Christmas time, he was bloody awful and he never recovered.
Is that when did Casey Keller come in for him?
I think, was it Keller? Yeah, around that time.
Say who did a good job for us, was never really seen as a number one, when we got Kudicini from Chelsea.
Oh, Kudicini, yeah.
He came in and did all right, Kudicini did. Steady pair of hands.
Yeah, but Redknapp played him in the semi-final. We let him 5, didn't we? Against Chelsea.
Mate, semi-final.
Media Elastic. Someone's mentioning Media Elastic.
Bobby Mims, though, Dave. Oh.
Bobby Mims. If I had an all-time worst team Tottenham that I've ever seen, he's the goalie.
I'm not gonna say it, but I'll never forget about him. A guy who I know who supports Spurs basically said Bobby Mims couldn't hold a pair of. I'll let you. Blank. It's like blankety blank here. Bobby Mims couldn't hold a pair of blanks. You put your own word in.
Let people put it in the group chat, see what they think.
Yeah.
It's the best answer gets a readout by Davo.
And the worst answer gets a checkbook and pen.
Yeah. The worst answer could have my Ian Walker montage.
Yeah.
All you have to do is pay the postage. Stairs.
Yep.
King Oddle's won.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. So let's move on then to the shambles.
Here we go.
No.
This is going to take some working out, guys. So we'll start top left. We'll work our way around. So obviously, this is probably the worst back line we've had in recent memories, I think, in terms of goals conceded. Partly tactical, I guess, but also there's a certain number of players in here that need to be probably looked at and discussed. So let's start then. Davo, Sanchez, keep, loan, sell.
Okay, so as we go through this sludge of mediocrity, we may end up with no one left at the end. And that's how I see it, okay?
Yeah.
Davies Sanchez, 42 million smackers, which everyone goes, well, that's Steve Hitchin. But, Mr. Pochettino signed off on that one. Yes, he had a good first season. He was started in the back three. Ben Alderweireld got injured against Madrid, and he was in the back four. I think he's just not good enough. And everyone talks about how he came back at the end of the season before last now and covered for Romero. He still got turned inside by Cornet, Burnley at home, who should have scored and would have been the whole world of trouble. He's just not good enough. What happened to him and the booing was a disgrace, but it's not like no one else has ever been booed at Tottenham. I'm not excusing it. That's just the way it is. But he's got to go. I love it. Every summer for the last 2 summers, someone on the cheese room goes, he's got a lot of admirers in Europe. Well, where are these admirers? I've never seen them. Thank you. Good night and God bless Davinson.
Gibbo?
A bit of mitigation before we get into all these. Some of these players just need to move on. Not because they're horrendous players, but I think because of how Tottenham have been for the past few years, and it's probably worn on them, rubbed off on them too much. We just need to move on to freshen things up. I know we can't get rid of them all, but me and Dave are going to have a pretty good go here tonight. But Davinson Sanchez, yeah. I actually thought when Sanchez first come into the club and he played in the middle of Toby and Jan, when Poch played a 3, he looked good. Saying that, he was playing with 2 absolute,
legends.
Class. Yeah, 2 absolutely fantastic players who played in a back 3 for their country. and could fulfill that role perfectly. And they complemented and they probably guided him through games and helped him. And he looked big, strong. But as with, like I said, with Spurs over the years, I think it's just worn him down. He hasn't improved. He hasn't come on. In fact, he's got worse. So, yeah, time to move on. Hopefully he'll go off and have a good career somewhere else for him. But, yeah,
in
time
Europe.
to move him on. Yeah, he's well regarded in Europe. So, if he goes out there, we can't get all of them. I think this what we're going to have to say is this is what me and Dave would do. But obviously you can't do that because you cannot bring like as many defenders in. So, but Davinson Sanchez, yeah, he wants to go as well, doesn't he? He wants out. He said he wants out, doesn't he? Yeah. Ta-da then. Off you go. Yeah. Thanks for all the effort you put in, and it must have been difficult for him after he'd been booed and playing, when the crowd's literally oohing and ahhing every time you touch the ball because they're worried you're gonna, fall over it or whatever. So fair play to him.
I think he'd prefer to be oohed and ahed than booed.
Yeah. But like when the ball goes to his feet and people are like, oh, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna fall over it or?
Exactly.
So yeah, time to move on, Davinson.
Yeah. Okay, so Davinson's going. What do you reckon? What do you reckon we get for him? Where do you think he goes?
10 million, 5 million, Saudi Arabia. That's where they're all going.
There's not a lot of money about, mate. If he goes Europe, we're not getting a lot of money for him, are we?
Yeah,
not a lot of money in Europe.
Chris, but you are right. Sessegnon has been missed off the list. We will discuss Sessegnon as well. Don't worry. I've got it on my notes.
I want to.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now. Get rid.
Sessegnon. Get rid. Yeah. Are you sure?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, mate. If you're at Spurs for how many years has he been there?
8.
He's not a left back. He's not a left winger. He's been out on loan. It's like, mate. As I always, he's weak as a kitten. His body can't stand up to the rigors of the Premier League. Go somewhere else and play. We need players who are going to be up for it and who are going to help the cause. Who are going to contribute, and he just can't contribute enough.
So if Diver the Fiver and I agree on something, it's got to be right, yeah? So both Diver the Fiver and myself said at the start of the season, this is make or break. So he comes back, he's looking all a bit buffed up, and did he score against Southampton? I think he did. Mm-hmm. And all was well. The sun was out, all was well in the world. The thing is that his hammies are as tight as a banjo string, and at the end of the day, he's just not good enough. It's another example of the 20 to 30 million market which we operate in and operate in badly. So send him to Hoffenheim or send him to Saudi Arabia. Either way, he's got to go.
Or where I always say send him to Norwich. He'll do all right there.
With Culverhouse, Bowen and Crook.
That's it, yeah.
I'm not trying to be inflammatory, but do we not think that Sanchez and Sessegnon both have qualities that may suit Postecoglou's system, i.e. pace?
I don't know what you think happens down in Australia. Even in Australia, the concept of recognising someone who's shit it's still.
I know what you're trying to do here, Craig, and it ain't going to work, mate.
It's not going to work. Red. He's got to go. Apparently, he's a lovely person. Good, go and be lovely somewhere else.
All right. So we've just chucked Sanchez and Sessegnon to the scrap heap.
Yep.
All right, Emerson Royal.
We've not chucked them. We're not like that. We've asked them to go and lie on the scrap heap, haven't we?
Well, to be fair, Sanchez asked. Yeah. I mean, Sanchez offered it up, didn't he? To be fair, he's offered it up, so that's made it a little bit easier. But yeah, either way, they're both gone. Royal, then, Dave.
Okay. I can say something a little bit controversial here. I mean, okay, the Royal Naissance. How many games? I mean, he kicked Jack Grealish all over the park. All good.
Yeah.
I take my hat off to him. He invested 500,000 quid on some crypto chamber or whatever that thing's called over the summer. He studied the way to play better. He got booed horrendously, and he's turned it around. But in terms of everyone going, he's back. He's a player that I always said he was. I mean, how many decent games did he really have last season? And then when we were a weren't we a back four against Brentford in the last game of the season? And
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
came, he had a run on the side, on the wing, went up, and he did another shit cross. And I thought to myself, he has some things don't change. So a lot of people go, in a back four, he'll be fine. But when he was in a back four under Nuno, he's still not very good at getting forward and crossing the ball. And you still need that as a fullback. But as we're throwing everyone under the bus today, I say, Emerson, come stay for another season and enjoy Ange Ball.
Gibbo?
Yeah, I think he'll stay because we play a back four, and I think he is a right back, isn't he? He is. That's what he is. He's a right back. That's what we bought him as, a right back. He's pretty decent defensively. Suppose if you have to sort of like morph into sort of a back three, you can drop into a right-sided centre back and do a job there. But I do agree with Dave. Like going forward, he's always found wanting. I'd keep him around because you know he's still young. Ange may improve him. He may, the way Ange plays, may, you might be able to get a little bit more from him. But I think if you're really going to push on, you're probably going to have to upgrade on him. But maybe, like I said, maybe you can get coached up. So I'd keep him around, but he's good for me. He's good, but basic. Very basic. But good at it. He's good at it.
A good but basic right back. So many of them over the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It will be interesting.
Basic right back.
Yeah, it will be interesting what Postecoglou makes of Royal though, and whether he gets much game time.
But he's good round, but showed good character after all this crap he got.
Yeah.
And doing that, what he's tried to do to improve himself, fair play to him. And he seems like a good character around the dressing room. Which when you start saying stuff like he seems a good character around the dressing room, usually is because you don't want to say they're shit. But I genuinely mean it. He looks like a decent character.
Sanchez showed good character, didn't he?
Yeah.
Lamella and Aurier liked a game of Uno, apparently. So, good characters.
They were good characters.
Yeah.
All right, so we're keeping Royal. I mean, obviously, we know that Ange Ball means he'll probably push up into midfield, into that sort of central midfield area, which I think he's more than capable of doing, isn't he?
Yeah.
In a basic way. In a basic way.
In a pass it 5 yards way, maybe.
Yeah. Interesting. All right, so we've got a right back in Emerson Royal staying. It's good. Let's move on to Eric Dier. Gibbo?
Yeah, I think the time's come for Eric Dier to move. We're looking at changing this. I know the buzzwords, the culture and the mentality. Well, this is a guy who's been around through all the bad periods we had. The end of Poch, Mourinho, the bad point at the end of that, Nuno, the bad stuff with Conte. And I think those types of things do leave scars. And these players who are used to being in those situations and used to it going the way it does. And I just think it's time to move him on. He's another one who's been a good servant to the club. He's been around. He's played a few different positions. It's like they're old cliches, aren't they? But it's true. He's that season he played the middle of midfield with Dembele, superb. But yeah, send Dier to Norwich.
Dave?
Look, I think is he still doing his travel restaurant app with his brother Jeremy?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, well, I think he should. Have it? You got it? Is any good?
No.
Can you imagine Eric Dier directing you to a decent restaurant in anywhere where you are in the world? You know it's going to be shite, isn't it? To be fair to, Gibbo, just to slightly rebut you, you say that Dier's been there for all the bad times. I mean, he has been there for the good times as well.
Yeah, come on. Yeah, he has. But I think the bad times leave. The last 4 or 5 years have been pretty woeful, haven't they, to watch? And he's been there through all of that. And he's another one who just, we've played him. He wanted to play centre back, so we've played him centre back, and he just makes. I think he's the type of player. He has periods of good form, but you always know there's going to be that Rick in a period of dross there from him, and he's not quick. You can't play a high line with him. Like Milk turns quicker than him, so you cannot play a high line with Eric Dier. And I just think it's time to move him on. We need to start getting rid of some of these players who have been around too long. We need a churn. That's what this whole squad needs. So, and he's one of them.
Can I roll out my very dull Eric Dier fact, which I've said before?
Go on.
Do you know who his grandfather was?
Yeah, the bloke who ran the FA. Not that ran the FA. He was a big
Ted Croker.
Yeah.
So really, it's synonymous with Eric Dier's career that where we could have done with a bit of help is his granddad still being amongst us, and the chair of the FA could have helped us immeasurably. But even Eric couldn't get that one right. And I'm being very harsh, sorry. But there you go. Au revoir, Eric. He's been a servant. He's got to go. And he's just not good enough. So move him on.
Yeah.
He's got a year left in his contract, hasn't he? I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
I think that's right, isn't it? Yeah, I've got that right. Yeah. So that could be, interesting one. We'll come back. I was going to ask a question, but we'll do that at the end. Romero then. Romero stayed, Davo. We love Romero.
Oh, you've just put the fishing rod out there, Craig, and I respect you for that. For me, it's a make or break season for the part-time Tottenham player, full-time Argentinian international. So I'd like to see Christian, if he wouldn't mind, for the amount of money we paid for him, to put in 10. That's 10 games of consistency, a 10-game run of no injuries, a 10-game run of no rash challenges, of poor positioning. Yes, he is our best defender, but look at that lot on there. It's not much of a competition. So, there's sometimes that he shows Graham Robert-esque qualities, those crunching tackles, etc., etc. And other times, and there has been times after the World Cup this season, he's really looked like he couldn't give a shit. And the mysterious injuries that him, Højbjerg and Dier developed, and Hugo at the end of the season, speaks volumes. I'm only saddened that I'm not here for the midfield show where we can talk about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. But it's defenders is the brief tonight. We stick to the brief. So we keep Christian, but I give it one more season.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Gibbo?
Agree with Gov. Agree with Dave. Potential there. We've seen some really good things from him, but not really played enough games. And I know in the modern day football, but you can't really say that. But we want to see somebody who actually cares about Tottenham and wants to play for Spurs, and sort of obviously they want to go and play for their national team, but puts their club first, the club that's paying for them, and leaves it all on the pitch. And I think like some of the way he played towards the end of the season just smacked of a guy whose attitude wasn't right. Bookings and running all over the place for the ball, and just like a hodgepodge performance, something good followed by something erratic and reckless. So needs to get his head on, knuckle down, and prove to us that he is the defender that a lot of us think he is.
He is our best defender, isn't he?
He's a good player, and he's a tough tackler, and he's good on the ball. Well, I was thinking then, is he our best? He is our best defender, no matter how poor some of his defensive decisions may be. Yeah, he is our best defender. It's not a high bar.
But it's almost like if you get someone in who's a bit more experienced, a bit more of a leader at the back, that tells him where to go and what to do. Although I'm not sure that he doesn't strike me as a person who would like that. He probably sees himself as the leader.
What I found a little bit infuriating about the whole team was last season when you watch Romero like that, nobody ever seemed to sort of like get hold of him and have a word with him and tell him to calm down and say, look, do you know what I mean? Like, it was just allowed for him to carry on running around like a bull in a china shop. So, and that infuriates me, because there's, in the good teams, there's always like a player who'll grab hold of someone and sort of like you said, Dave, like try and talk to him. And I think he needs that. He definitely needs that. And so
you're full of metaphors and similes tonight, Gibbo, like a bull and milk. Ball in the China shop. It's very good.
Yeah. Okay. So Romero is with Royal, staying for another season at White Hart Lane.
Yeah.
So we next on the list we've got Charlie Sayers, who's a youth player. He's a centre back, predominantly can also play left back. 19 years old, currently in the under 21s. Made 13 appearances last season. Scored a goal, 1 assist. So not prolific at all. Doesn't start. It only started 30% of the games. So he's not prolific. Clearly potential for future talent. Any of you guys got any thoughts on? Does he stick around? Does he...
Have you got some figures there for Alfie Dorrington as well, mate? Because I think Sayers and Dorrington are probably going to be. I know for me, I don't know about Dave, probably in the same sort of category.
Yeah,
and Maxime Reality. From
Yeah.
the
yeah, I'll do that. So Alfie Dorrington's 18. Centre back. Obviously played 10 games last season in Premier League 2. Certainly more prolific. Plays a lot more of the games. He out of the two, he seems like he's the more prominent hope, if you like. And then who else did we say? Maxim, didn't we?
Yeah, he's been around a little bit longer, hasn't he? The Maxim guy. He played a few friendlies the other year.
Do you mind if we bring up Ribsed's comment? I'm not doing comments tonight. Hang on. All right, here we go. Look, this is comment of the night. Sorry.
Simon says.
Brilliant. I'm sorry. That's fantastic.
Thank you for that. Maxim is 20 years old, so you're right. Estonian. Again, centre half. He only made 5 appearances last season, started 20% of games for the under 22s. Under 21, sorry.
I think with these young players in any position, but if they're not, get them out possibly on the tour, let the coach have a look at them. But if they're not going to get anywhere near any game time, then if they're seen as decent prospects, we need to get them out on loan, don't we? Get them decent loans. I don't know enough about Dorrington, Simon's brother, and Maxim to have any real opinion on them. So get them out on loan.
Yeah, our fantastic viewers are pointing out we're about 3 players short on this list.
So Keith makes a good point about Spence and Perisic. We'll blame John and his drugs for this because John put together the slide and clearly he's missed off Spence and Perisic. But Longley hasn't been missed off. Clearly, he's no longer a Spurs player because he went back on loan, didn't he? So,
Well, they still talk on Twitter. We're still in discussions with them. I bloody hope not.
Yeah, let's not get into that.
No, let's not, shall we?
But we will discuss Spence and Perisic. Don't worry, Keith. We will get there. Porro. Let's talk about Porro. Massive hopes. Who wants to go first? Davo?
Yeah, look, I think it's our transfer policy of buying someone in the last minute of the January transfer window for a manager who wants to leave is just it smacks of the joint up thinking that we have throughout our organisation and club. I can't see him as a right back in the back 4, so therefore he's going to have to play one of the front 3 on the right, maybe in the midfield. Don't think so. I could see him up top on the right hand side, which I don't have a problem with because his numbers weren't bad actually, and he really looks like he's into it. He hasn't been tainted by the culture of Davies and Dier, so it looks like he's quite happy to be there. So I wouldn't play him as a right back, no way. But keep
and in a more forward role.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about him?
Definitely keep him. He's got something about him, hasn't he? Few assists and goals in that second half of the season. Something we're severely lacking from other players around the pitch. Bit of pace, can beat a man. Looks like he actually gives a shit. The defensive part of his game is a worry. I mean, is he going to be a right back? Is he going to be seen as attacker? Time will tell, but definitely keep him around. I don't know I don't know exactly how we'll play. I mean, can you imagine having like him right back and a Dogie left back? It could be a bit like Aussie Ardiles football, couldn't it? So, yeah, but we got to keep him around, haven't we? There's definitely some quality there.
Yeah,
the Dogie's not on there either.
No,
I think the reason he's not on there is because obviously he's not actually joined us technically. He's been on loan. He's coming back this season. There's not much of a debate in terms of. I'm sure he'll be in the squad. I'm trying to defend John. I'm trying to defend John.
Well, I could say sell him for a laugh.
Well, you could do, but I don't. You're not.
That'll be
divisive.
The Pedro, Porro, Spence, who we've not got on the list, the Dogie, who's not on the list, Perisic.
And Sess.
They Sess then be interesting to see what happens with those because they are wing backs, really, aren't they? Yeah. They're not fullbacks, and we've got a coach who now plays with fullbacks. So it's going to be
Spence at right back. Do you see Spence? Do you think he? Well, what do you do? Do you load him out again? Do you put him back into the fold and let him compete with Royal for that right back position?
See what the manager says, mate.
Well, this is you, mate. I'm asking you.
We can't go
You
on. You can say that about everyone.
You can't go on a podcast or a YouTube show.
I want to finish up on knackered. That's all I'm going to say now. That's all I'm going to say.
You can't do that, can you?
No, I mean, he looked good for Forest in the Championship. We were all excited about him coming to Spurs. And then, obviously, Conte is like, oh, he's a club signing. So he went out. Was it, where did he go? Did he go to Rennes? Went to Rennes, didn't he?
Yeah.
Played a bit, didn't he? Got injured, didn't play in the end. But from what I've seen him, he looks a decent player, but you got to... I think he'll be given a pre-season. I think the club will want them to have a look at him and persist with him. And I think he's got a good chance of being a part of the squad. Whether he's a starter, I don't know. But I think you'll have Royal, Porro and Spence. I think they'll all be kept at the club, those three.
Yeah. But did we just say that Porro will probably not be counted as a defender and more maybe in the attacking sense? So if you're looking at who we've got in fullbacks, right back, we've got Royal and Spence. Is that the two right backs for you?
Yeah.
So do you think that Porro will be played as a right winger?
Well, but if you're asking me, I think so. I think he'll play more in an attacking sense than he will defensively.
Do you think, come a big game, our front three will be Kane, Son, and Porro?
I never said that. I'm not. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I think he would rotate. I think he's good. He's good option to rotate with Kulu on that right hand side.
Yeah,
that's where I think he can get you.
We'll get to Kulu on Friday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll talk. I don't want to take your thunder from that one, Dave, on Friday. But but obviously we've been linked with Barnes, haven't we, from Leicester? And I sort of look at that and think, well, what's the point? Because I think he doesn't add anything.
Yeah, we're looking at Porro played right wing back for Sporting Lisbon in a possession-based team that kept the ball better and then pressed high. Obviously, slightly different to playing right back, but he has played in that type of football before for Lisbon. So I can't see him being part of the front three all the time. I think they'll look for, like you said, they're looking for a young winger to play up there who can play both sides. So I think he may have games there, but I don't think that will be where he plays. I've got a feeling he might try him out as the right back to start off with because he gets forward and he can push into midfield a little bit. He's decent on the ball. So
yeah. You're only gonna. I mean, we're gonna have a smaller squad this year anyway, so it's quite good that you're culling everyone. To be fair, because we need a cull. But in that, so you're looking at 2 positions maximum, aren't you? I see players per position. So I'm gonna just pressure on the right back thing. So Royal is staying, and then it's if you're going Porro, if you had a choice now, Dave, Porro or Spence, who would you choose? Second right back. Yeah, second right back.
Spence.
What about you, Gibbo?
I'm saying Porro because I've not seen anything more of Spence. Yeah. And I think they've spent a lot of money on Porro. So I'm saying Porro.
So you loan Spence, do you, Gibbo?
Yeah. Yeah, may as well.
I thought
May
you were going
as
to say
well.
that. I'm not the manager, so ask him.
No. If you're gonna loan him, loan him to a Premier League team
Yeah, I agree
so
with
we
that.
can see what he's about, week in, week out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good. Let's move on then. Porro to Tanganga. Oh, what happened to Tanganga? Davo, what are we doing with him, mate?
Well, he could potentially have an Ange-like conversion to the road of light, because he could potentially use him as a right back. So, plus he's homegrown. I mean, how old is he now? 24. I mean, his injury record is shocking. And I thought I saw Tanganga, talking him up on his agent, talking him up on Twitter, saying that Milan were interested in him last summer, which is interesting. So I think at the end of the day, he's probably got to go.
Yeah. How many
Nothing said
appearances
all
did he
that.
make last year? Does anyone have a guess?
Leicester.
4.
Bob on the money, Gibbo. 4 appearances. That's it. Last year.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah.
He's got to go, mate. Yeah, I'm with Dave. I don't see, personally, people might have different opinions, but I don't see it with him. He was that game where he kicked Grealish off the park, where we beat Man City and Kane never played. He was fantastic, but that's as good as it got for him. I don't
think... right. It was all right against Wolves the next game and all that.
Yeah, but it's just like Gov said, he had too many injuries. I just don't think he's good enough. I just don't see anything special there from him. I just think he's going to be one of those players who will just hang around the squad, not get many games, and then he'll get a move to somewhere like Norwich.
He's a John Polston. He's a John Polston, is what you're saying. He's John Polston. He's Guy Butters.
Yeah. He a good championship move would do him good.
Yeah. All right. So let's just quick recap before we move on. Sanchez is last to go, but we're chucking him. Royal, we're keeping. He's coming in. Dier's gone. Romero's can stay if he gets it back together.
Yeah.
Charlie Sayers, Pascozzi, and Dorrington are all loading out to get some game time.
Yeah.
Porro stays.
Yeah.
Tanganga's gone.
Yeah.
So we've currently got in the locker room, in the changing rooms for the American listeners, we've got Royal, Romero, and Porro so far. Yeah. Oh, and Spence. If we were to talk about Spence, we sort of said Spence to keep, didn't we?
Yeah, we've talked about him, haven't we?
Yeah. Okay, so we're 4 now. 4 in the changing rooms. Ben Davies, what a legend!
Go on, Dave. Feel your boots.
Well, hang on. Everyone moans about Conte didn't improve anyone. I thought he improved Ben Davies. Okay, I thought he improved under Conte. When he plays left back in a 4-4-2, it doesn't work. You saw against Brentford. If he played left centre back in a back 4, I don't think that works either. And therefore, given that Ange plays a back 4 it's not going to work for him. I can see him stick. If you said to me, you could get rid of one of Dier or Davies, I would keep Davies.
Yes.
And get rid of Dier. Okay.
Yeah.
However, he has been there far too long. I mean, you got to remember, he was the backup to Rose.
Yeah.
All right. He was the backup to Rose, and Trippier was the backup to Walker. So you look at the 4 of them. Who was the worst out of the 4 of them? Him. And he's still there at the club, which is an indictment.
Playing
of the way
week in, week out.
Yeah.
Playing week in, week out.
My favourite Davies moment from last season is when they interviewed him after the Brentford game. I can't do a Welsh accent, so I won't do it. And he goes, well, they changed things at half time.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what to do about it. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Why would you say that? Even if that's what you were thinking, why would you say that? King Oddles hit the nail on the head. Bang average. He'll stay. He'll stay at the club. He's reliable. He's dependable. He'll fill in and do a job. He'll do his duties of, being on the bench and not moaning about it. And He can fill a couple of positions, and we'll keep him around. So I think
IT,
he'll stay.
some ITKers say he's a bit of a divisive influence in the training.
Really?
Camp. That's just ITKers. Who knows?
But yeah, I totally agree with Dave. Obviously, we can't get rid of all these players because it's got to be done over a longer period of time. But Ben Davies, for me, should be on the way out or being thought about being pushed out the door. Like the fact that he was Rose's backup, and now he's pretty much playing most games when he's fit. Is a sad indictment, really. But I think his best he's been for us is when he's played part of a back three. But yeah,
that is his best position. But we're not playing it like that. He's got to go.
I think he'll stay, and I'm going to keep him around. But we've got to be looking at replacing what he does for us with somebody younger and more athletic and better. But just better. We just need to be looking at replacing with somebody younger and better.
I think he's quite consistent, though. I think consistency. He's just what I call. He's just
consistency is boring. Come on, Craig.
But you need that consistency. You need those plodders in life. There's people that just get in, do the job, and go home. And that's what he does. He doesn't create fuss. He doesn't create unless the in the nose are right, of course, Davo. But he doesn't create fuss. He doesn't create issues. He just comes in. Every manager seems to love him and rate him, and he's just got that. It's just a character.
To move him on. And for all the reasons you've just stated, it's time to move him on.
Okay, so we haven't got a left back in your 8 players at the moment, just so you guys are aware of that.
No, we know that. We know that.
Just put it out there. So, all right, Davis is on the scrap heap. This bonfire is huge. All right, Regulon, right on loan currently. He's not played at all when he's been on loan. He's been injured for pretty much all of it. Davo?
My favourite moment thank you, King Hoddle.
I'll put that up. It's worthy of a comment.
It's the orange juice. Who has orange juice on the cheese room? Me at this time of the day. My favourite moment from Reggie was when he participated in the indoor cricket a couple of seasons ago, and he was well into it. Did you remember seeing that? Yeah. Sadly, I don't get Levy vision. I saw it on Instagram, and Joe Hart was a very impressive cricketer. Reggie, I think the reality is he's gone out on loan. He's had a shocking injury record. Conte obviously got rid of him pretty quickly. But we play with a left back, so he's got an opportunity. Depends how he goes in Perth on the pre-season tour. If he takes the Western Australian life for that week, he's there. He might get another opportunity. So at the moment, we haven't got too many left backs, so he's a possible keep.
Keep? Oh, wow. I wasn't expecting that one. Gibbo?
I think he's a possible keeper. He's got a bit of pace about it. I mean, when he gets into the box and he shoots, he's so weak, wasn't it? His shots when he got into the box, he get into good positions and then he literally kick it like a 5-year-old. But, he's got a bit of pace about him. He was a decent player when we bought him in an attacking team. So there could possibly be a place for him. And like Dave said, we've not really got any, apart from Ben Davies, but we haven't really got any left back. So I think they'll take a look at him and we could possibly keep him. What would I think I might keep him around and give him a go in the squad. And then if it doesn't work, that if he's not going to, if we don't feel he can contribute, then get rid of him. But if you're not going to get a fee for him and nobody's knocking your door down to get him, you may as well see what he's like in training, see if you can get something from him.
All right, so we've got one left back in the change rooms. We need one more. We've got 2 options that spring to mind. We've got Perisic, and we've got Udogie, who's coming in for his first year with the squad this season. So, David, where do you stand on Perisic, Udogie?
So another ITK said that Destiny was less than happy to discover that the people who persuaded him to sign for Tottenham have all left the club. And therefore he was quite keen to learn from Perisic in his first year at Tottenham. So obviously, I mean, I was going to say for shits and giggles, get rid of Destiny. It does make me laugh a little bit that people are getting very excited about Destiny, and don't forget he's 19 years old, 20 years old. Okay, he's put in a couple of good seasons in Serie A. I get that, but I think the expectation of him, everyone's just got to calm down a little bit here. Okay, so obviously he's a keep, but just we've got to be patient with him, which the fan base are well known for. So I'd keep him. Perisic, if we're not getting in Harvey Barnes, I would probably keep him, but to play up top.
Yeah.
And the backup for this is that Perisic flying over your.
It's a police helicopter, I think. Apologies. Ignore. Carry on.
Is that the metaphor police heading its way to Gibbo's house? No, I would keep Perisic, but up top, and I would obviously Destiny he's in. So there you go. You got Serge, Destiny as your left backs. So right back, Emerson, Spence, and Palmer. Yeah, that'll work.
Interesting. Gibbo?
I think Destiny's going to get a crack, isn't he? Obviously, they paid money for him. He's a bright prospect, so they'll want to see what he's all about this season. Perisic, if he stays, I've got a feeling he might go. But if he stays, use him as part of the front three when you can. And as somebody put in here, he could be an emergency left back, couldn't he? Played there for Croatia in the Nations League final the other day. So he could be used in that role if ever you've got to change during the game and you're chasing it and you've got to change the formation we play a bit. So, but I think he'll go. I think he'll look to move on himself. So keep Udogie in there. I mean, we're talking about this defense and we're talking about the ones we keep and the ones we'd all the ones we keep really, apart from Romero. I'm looking at possibly still being squad players. That defense.
We'll talk about that, Gibbo, if that's okay. We'll get there. But let's talk about the Welsh wizard that's Joe Rodon. What are we doing with Joe Rodon? I mean, he's been relatively successful in his loan at Rennes as well, hasn't he? He's played most games, I think. Highly thought of.
I would respectfully rebut that statement, Craig.
Okay.
With all due love and respect. My understanding is he hasn't played the last 5-10 games of the season. More than happy to be proven wrong.
Let me just have a look. No, you might be right.
You go and have a look.
I'll do my research as you discuss. Yeah.
Now, I just want to make it clear that I don't have anything against the Welsh. Although the deification of Gareth Bale's second spell at the club does make me chuckle, which we covered off in Sacred Cow last summer, and it's coming back again this summer. Not Gareth Bale, but Joe Rodon, as Keith Browning said, in the World Cup was awful against England. I think he can't get into the Rennes team. Craig's about to find that out. He is, Jose Mourinho wanted Skriniar. He got Gareth Bale and Joe Rodon. So I believe that Trevor Birch in his 3 minutes at the club before he went on to the Football League probably said to Daniel, I've got this great guy we should sign. And in he comes. He's a meh player. He will be a Guy Butters, John Polston, Andy Polston, that kind of, in the annals of history. Chris Perry, Anthony Gardner, that's where he is in the Spurs museum that's obviously being built as we speak.
What I've said, he's not as good as a Chris Perry, but I mean, he's a guy who I think will want to go and play, and I think that will be lower down the Premier League or in the Championship. I think he's reasonably good on the ball. I think he's one of those in the Championship where when it's smashed up long, he'll get his head on it. He's a big physical lad. But yeah, I think he'll want to go and play. I think he'll want to play week in, week out because obviously he wants to play for Wales, which he'll still get in anyway. But he's had a year.
That's not hard, is it?
He's had a year where he didn't play a lot when he first come, and now this season he's gone out on loan and not set the world alight. Is he going to want to come back if he's not going to be involved week in, week out? I think he'll be one that will go, whether it be on loan or sold. But
So Rodon in Rennes, he was only not in the squad twice last season. He was
What
in the
about in the
squad for.
first 11?
Well, we'll get to that. Come on, give me a second. In the last 3 games of the season, he started 2 out of those 3 games. Unfortunately, for most of the games in the middle of the part of the season, he was correct, Dave. He was on the bench, so he started strong. He started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In the first 10 games, he started 9 out of the 10, and then after that, he pretty much. You're right. He got a red card, and then after that, he got 2 red cards on the bounce, 2 games on the bounce. Yeah. And after that, we didn't really see him again. He was on the bench.
Let's get it right, lads. Daniel Wright in the chat is hitting on. When you look at this list here and the ones we've missed off, to make a defense, to make a back 4 out of that, poor Daniels would struggle to do that, or Harry Potter, the magician. It's a poor group of defenders, isn't it? When you add the other ones we've been talking about as well, it's a poor group of defenders. Of defenders. It is.
Yeah, we've done the existing list to death, and you're right, it is a poor group of defenders. Yeah. Where do we need to strengthen them? If we was going to say out of left back, right back, centre back, what are the positions that we really do need to strengthen this summer? If you had your way, bear in mind we can't bring, as you've said, 11 or 8 new defenders in, so we've got to
2 centre backs.
2 centre backs.
2 centre backs. One starter and one who can cover both positions.
Okay, Davo, where are you at? Same.
Two centre backs who can start. Yeah. So I wouldn't mind the guy from Wolves, Kilman. I wouldn't mind him. And then obviously Guardiola, Bastoni, they're on their way. They're definitely going to sign up for us. So I'd like Kilman. Not sure about the Palace centre back. Mark, what's his face?
Gay.
Yeah. So and then one that maybe Ange will bring Cameron Carter-Vickers back from Celtic, and that's what we'll do there. But we need 2 centre backs, and they're starters. I want them as starters. Okay.
So is this to replace Romero?
No, Romero's got to fight for his place. So that when he's doing us a favour, he's got to fight for his place.
So what you're saying is, Dave, what we need 3 centre backs, and the back 2 pairing can be any 2 out of that 3 at any point. It's whoever's playing the best, whoever's training the best, and whoever's in the right frame of mind. That's what we're saying, isn't it? We want 2 pick from 3, not one who's definitely. When I say one who can cover the 2 positions, not if one's injured he comes in. We want players who can, if they're brought in, they're as more or less as good as what's. We're going to offer as much as what the person they've come in for or got injured. So,
Is it Copa America this season? Do you know if it's Copa America this season?
Well,
sorry, I'm just scrambling to screen.
We'll know if we'll
know anyway. America, even if it isn't Copa America.
24.
Oh,
next summer.
Summer. Okay. Oh, that means
he won't be around for that tough run-in. He won't be around for that tough run-in then, will he?
No, he won't. It'll have disappeared with the social media director.
June 14. Yeah.
No, okay, we'll wait to see him. April and May, he won't be playing.
2 centre backs.
Yep.
And
the goalie. 2 centre backs, a goalie.
2 centre backs and a goalkeeper. And then I think.
Although the fullbacks are still pretty weak. Let's be honest.
Yeah, fullbacks are weak, but I think he'll probably look at what he's got, see if he can get anything, and then that will be probably for a transfer window further on, maybe January.
Yeah.
In the defence.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk a little bit about those that we've been linked with. The most notable centre back we've been linked with. There's 2 to discuss very quickly. I know you've got to go soon, Dave.
I've got to go very shortly.
But we'll get your views on Lingley, because obviously there's been discussion about potentially re-signing him.
Longley.
Dave's got to go shortly. He's got to go shortly.
Clement, I've said, listen, if anyone's having trouble sleeping, just get yourself at the end of season award show. You got me on Longley there. I'll clip, if there's an overwhelming public demand, I'll clip it up and stick it on. Very assured. That's right, Riv said. He's very assured. He's so good on the ball. Unfortunately, defending is just more than that. He is the French Ricardo Rocha. Au revoir, Clement.
Okay. And then the other name that's been mentioned just today, actually, and Daniel's made an observation, Laporte from Man City, apparently out of favour. And Romero would be awesome. What's our take on Laporte? Good one to consider for us.
Is that Dave? Dave's got to go, so let him answer.
Yeah. How old is he?
He's about 25, I think, Dave.
Is he?
Oh, look, Craig.
Sorry, Craig.
Yeah, you look, yeah. I don't know. It's right.
I don't know. I've got this feeling that his injury record's not been that great. But look, either way,
29.
29. Okay, well, put him in, and then him and Romero can go around to each other's houses and have Argentinian steak on a spit all night long, and that will keep Romero happy. I haven't got a problem with that because you'll tell him we won't get him though. I agree, we won't get him, but I think if we got him and Klillman, Kaiman, whatever his name is, I'd be happy with those two. But we're not going to get him. No way. He'll go somewhere else. He wanted Europa. Laporte said, "I want Europa Conference League." We can't provide that to him. He's not going to sign. And on that comedy bombshell, I've really got to go.
Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Cheers, I appreciate the hour with us, mate. See you soon. Thanks for the sunrise, by the way. Loved it.
So there you go. See you.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to try and get out of here without ending the broadcast, which I'm very nervous about. See ya. Bye.
See ya, mate.
Bye.
I've done it for him. There you go.
Well,
sorry, just us two. So what if you could choose centre back, then who are you going for? Who's your pick? Would you go for Longley or?
If we can get better, we should be looking at getting better. I don't think he's as bad as some people have made out, but I don't think he's as good as some are made out. He's another very average player, not a lot of pace, with a bit of a rick in him, hasn't he? So, I mean, I like Gay from Palace, but you're going to be paying big bucks for him. Well, 45 million they're talking, which I don't think actually is that. If you think he's the guy, he can come in. Is he captain of Palace? He's captain at Palace, I think.
Yeah.
Plays on the left-hand side. Got a future. Looks like he's got a good future in the game. So if you think you can bring him in and he can be, long-term, he can, commit to the club and be part of the long-term future, could possibly be a future captain, then I'd spend the money on him, because 45 million is a lot of money, but it's not unreasonable when you look at what a lot of the top teams are spending. So I quite like him. I think Laporte will. I think he'll be, if coming from Man City, I don't think he'll be looking at coming to us with no European football. We'd really have to sell what we're all about to him. So who else are we talking about? Longley. I think that'll happen. No, I think Longley will be one of the centre backs we bring in, but I'm not that keen on that.
I like to think that Ange come into that meeting he had at Hotspur Way last week, or the week before, was it? However long ago it was, and they said in their transfer meeting they had with Mason and Levy, and they've said, he said, these are the qualities that I wanted a centre back, and he's probably said, I want a centre back that can run top speed of however many miles per hour, someone strong in the tackle, good in the air, whatever it might be. And then using their new data-led recruitment would have gone into the old database and found out which players match those profiles, and whoever they are, and we'll probably end up getting someone that you and I've never heard of before. Yeah.
I mean, like, if we had, or you and Dave spoke about, was like Romero, another two centre-backs that come in that can cover those positions but are ready to be first teamers, and you had Longley, I wouldn't mind that. That wouldn't be too bad. But then you got to bring in three centre-backs, because he'd be a really good option to fulfil that role. But so like who else have we spoke about? Kilman's the other one, and I've not seen a lot about him. I've heard a lot of. He's another one. He's young. Plays on the left-hand side. We're getting linked with a lot of like British players, aren't we, for the homegrown quota and stuff? But I mean, if Kilman's the guy, get him in. But they're talking 35 million for him, 45 million for Gay. I think I'd go for Gay from Palace, mate. He's just got in the England squad, so looks like he could kick on. Pacey, decent on the ball. Sounds like the sort of guy we're looking for. So
yeah. I mean, we could massively help ourselves with the homegrown anyway, because if we get, is it Raya from Goalkeepers homegrown? He's homegrown. We'll then have Forster homegrown. on there as
Yeah.
well. Plus, we
Yeah.
could have one of Austin or Whiteman who are homegrown, or the
Yeah.
younger kid. So suddenly, you're not wasting that
Yeah.
spot, non-homegrown spot on a goalkeeper. I think that's massive,
Yeah.
which is exactly why I think that Forster stays, just because of the fact he's
Yeah,
homegrown.
definitely.
It's massive. Yeah.
And I think the homegrown quota, mate, I think it will be helped up in the other areas. We'll probably bring players in, which the guys will talk about in the week. I know we're talking about the defence, but I think everybody's saying that certain players are going to be going to certain other clubs. And I said, didn't I, Craig, that the certain players that they're talking about going to certain other clubs, I don't think it's as cut and dry as that.
Mm-hmm.
And this week, things more homegrown players or player may who play in different positions, not what we're talking about tonight, could end up being at the club. So
no, exactly. But I think we've done the squad now, so I think it's only right that we do look into what's currently happening from transfers and other news around the club. I just wanted to pick up and get, I don't know if you saw this quote from Kulusevski on Postecoglou, basically saying that he heard that he was very interested in him. He said, "I'm glad we're getting a new coach with new ideas. What I've read and heard about him is good." Is there a bit of a sly dig there at Conte, do you think?
I don't know, mate. You can read it like that. I mean, a lot of them, especially the attacking players, it might be a bit of relief that they've got someone who's going to actually want them to be a bit more free flowing in attack. So I don't think it is. It can be looked at that way, but let it go. Let's get a full good pre-season out of Kulusevski. Get a bit more out of him than we had last season, because obviously he wasn't at his best, what we'd seen of him from the previous season. So glad we've got him in the door, mate. I think he will be a fantastic squad player for us. Yeah. And I'm glad it's done. And I just hope that, I hope he gets his chance and he takes it.
Yeah, definitely. The other bit of if you like, news we've got in terms of signing players up to contracts. Mickey Moore has now signed his new long-term deal with the club. I mean, I'll be honest with you, Gibbo, I'd never heard of Mickey Moore before this week, but Twitter seems to have gone on a massive meltdown about him in a positive way. So everything I see and I hear from those on Twitter and Alistair Gold and others who've commented seem to think that he's an amazing talent, and certainly the footage I've seen of him is pretty impressive.
Yeah, like you said, we've seen lots of these, haven't we? He seems like an exciting talent. So let's just give him time to develop. He's a 15-year-old kid with a promising future. So he signed that contract now. Chelsea were in for him, so it's good that we're keeping him, because Chelsea tend to hoover up a lot of the good talent in the academies and stuff. So just let him develop. Hopefully he's got the right people around him, and when the time comes, he'll get his chance in the first team squad. So it's good from that. Absolutely. It's positive that we don't want to be heaping too much pressure on him.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, he was, and hopefully he goes on. And there's a lot of in the later review shows on Wednesday midfield on Friday for the attackers. There'll be some other youth players that have come through that I'm sure we'll get a discussion. One player that has been heavily linked with Tottenham today, you alluded to it, Gibbo. I'm going to go out there and call it. James Maddison. Yeah. Everything, according to Twitter and everything I'm reading and hearing, seems to say that he's coming to Spurs.
Well, when we were talking the other week, we were told he didn't want Spurs weren't an option because they weren't in Europe. And, we're saying he'd be mad to come to Spurs when he could go to Newcastle and they're in the Champions League and that. But I don't think it's going to be as easy for Newcastle to get these players. I think part of it, people would rather go to London. I'll say, I won't say something else, but they, players do want to play in London. I think we have got a good chance of getting him. A lot of people sort of are like, nah, he won't be doing that. But I think we've got an extremely good chance of getting him. And I thought it before people were sort of like putting the mockers on it. I've said before he gives me David Bentley vibes, and I hope I'm wrong, because he is a good player, but I'm not totally convinced. So it'd be great if we signed him and he came in and he was the dog's bollocks. But I'll need convincing. But he is the type of player we need. If he lives up to what people think of him, he is exactly the player we need. He can score a goal, he can take a set piece. He technically very good, can fill a few different roles on the pitch. So
yeah,
I think there's a good chance it could happen. Never say never with Spurs, because we could end up messing the whole deal up. But
absolutely.
and
I've
got a feeling. Sorry, Craig. I've got a feeling the internationals are off now. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets done. Then he can go away on holiday, have his 2 weeks break, then come back and be ready to play for Spurs. So it could move quick after tonight.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I always say. I like Cluedo, and there's a couple of things for me. One, Spurs have removed their pin tweet of Kulusevski signing a contract. Whenever Spurs remove a pin tweet, it's because something else is coming up. And the other thing is, I shared with you, Gibbo, and I don't know if people have seen on the group chat that video of Maddison meeting Jody Jones after the last international game, I believe. And there was a comment. Yeah, against Malta. And there's a comment where Jody Jones says to Maddison, "What's going on? I am an Arsenal fan." And his response was, "I know, mate. I know, mate." Now, did you read that, Gibbo, the same way I read into that?
He may have. Yeah. Cause it could still be, even if it was Newcastle or something, he could be saying that because he wants him to sign for Arsenal or whatever, or he's just... or he's just up his crease or something because he wants his shirt. But yeah, there's all these different conspiracy theories, isn't there? But I've just got a feeling that London is where probably from little bits you read, you never know if it's true, where his missus wants to be. So if his missus wants to be in London, mate, there's a good chance he ends up in London.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously living in Leicester myself, I know that Leicester are in massive financial trouble. Massive financial trouble. John's point is a fair one, that they probably need to try and get some sales in before the 30th of June, the end of the financial year for them. So it just backs up what you've just said, that something could happen very quickly, if not already agreed.
Well, maybe I think for years and years, I think players have gone to the England camp and players have got round them from other clubs. Like when they had United, the big United clique, Liverpool, Chelsea clique. Kane's the captain of England. I know. The kid who plays up front for Newcastle put some out the other day, was saying, he had a picture took with him when they were messing about in training. He's come to Newcastle, but don't want to get hopes up too much, but I think there's a good chance that Maddison to Spurs is a goer.
Yeah, I hope so. I certainly hope so. And I think that brings an end, doesn't it, to the sort of transfer roundup for
there's
today.
Just Harvey Barnes, isn't it? We've been,
a
double swoop. I think if Spurs could get a double swoop where they could get two together for cheaper than buying them separately, I could see that happening. A bargain deal, including them. Maybe sending someone else like Winks the other way has been talked about. In the Championship, Winks might do a decent job for them, or other players they could possibly throw into the mix. So Harvey Barnes, not too sure. He's all right. He'd be a decent squad player, but anything more, I'm not 100% sure. And he'd have to win us over, but
yeah. I think what tonight has shown though, massively, hasn't it, is this summer is as much about outgoings as it is incomings. We've got to get some players out, and however we do that, it's going to be really hard because there's no money on the continent, as we know.
But I think we will. I think a lot of players with 1 year left, 18 months. I think you get to Christmas, 18 months. I think we'll start taking a little bit of a hit on them. Like we did with Doherty. I know that was a bit of a clusterfuck in the end, but I think we'll start moving players on that we don't sort of want around, be a little bit ruthless to start again. Looks like they're sort of coming to that conclusion, which will be good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, we've been going for an hour 20, so I think we will we'll call it there. It's been a really interesting discussion looking at Tottenham's shambolic defence. Wednesday, the second in the series, is the midfield crew. talking about everything midfield. And then on Friday, we're going to be talking about the attack. So please do make sure you come along and join us for those shows. Given what we've got on for the next couple of weeks, I understand you're
I'm off to Glastonbury Wednesday, mate. Yeah. Glastonbury Wednesday, mate. Cannot wait. So that's me off the cheese room for a bit.
Does that mean it's going to rain this weekend?
Oh, it'll probably lash down, mate. Yeah. Got
I'm
me
I'm in Blackpool this weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Stag do.
There, mate. No matter how hot it is in the world, it'd be frigging freezing up there, mate.
Yeah, so I'm excited. Bit of golf and a lot of lager in Blackpool, so it should be fun. But it won't be as fun as Blasto.
Nope.
But yeah. All right then, guys. Well, thank you so much, Gibbo, for everything. And I will see you again in a couple of weeks, I guess.
Yeah.
And other than that, just fast and say, up the Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.